Thanks for coming to my talk. Hopefully, we'll make sure how we are running our community and how we're using .NET, Azure, GitHub, all the latest and greatest to make our life easier as well as our community members frictionless in the event management process. Okay. Now, this is how we are. What are our pain points? A few damages, and along the way also some of our learnings and gotchas that we have experienced, and hopefully you can avoid too. Now, who are we? Uh, we are the largest open source community in Bombay. We run I think organizing the longest running tech meetup is over like 10 years right now. So yeah, so we've got a few things, quite a whole lot of like around 4,000, 5,000 community members. And we've been doing almost monthly meetups, and .NET is one of them, the constant team in our roster of events through the year. Now, if you look as a open source software community, we are like a community run meetup. So we usually don't get like, sponsorship. So basically we have like no food, no beer, uh, definitely no t-shirt as swag. So basically our ideal attendee profile is this guy, right? So despite of that, uh, we are almost houseful. Like, I mean, if you look at it, all our buffer seats are like full, a whole lot of energy, and they're usually standing room. These are all pictures from our last meetup that's happening. Now, the thing is, what's wrong about it? We used to run our meetups on Eventbrite, okay, but last year, over like 10 years, and we have like racked up over like, if you see it is 125 events, right, across the years. But they kind of changed the policy, right? They made only 25 tickets that could be free, which in our context would get snaffled up in within 15 minutes of opening the registration. The second point which you show, like I want to show up is what is affecting us out here is basically we got to make sure that none of these event management have facilities to make like our attendees on the basis like of an open, diverse, and inclusive and accessible, right? I mean, they're looking from a perspective of paid tickets and a little bit of extra on that, but they focus on not that. While we, as an OSS community, that's committed to like both as Microsoft Code of Conduct, our Code of Conduct, we want to make sure that our the attendee profile are diverse, inclusive, and equitable. So we have that as a focus of this app, and we couldn't find anything that was so. As a tech community, we said, hey, we should build one, right? And that's what this was all about. And I think .NET is, and I say why we have .NET as a good candidate for doing this. Okay. Uh, yeah. Next up. So usually this used to be a. Have you noticed? This is how we kind of curate our attendees. And think about it. Uh, Let me show the rail figures right now. Yeah. So this is our event going to be in this Saturday in the next few days, and we've got approximately 208 folks that are going to, have expressed an interest. And while we can, if you see the picture, this is at the Microsoft Office, we can afford a maximum 50. So we're looking like 5x for 6x kind of capacity. So we got to curate on the basis of what we do. The curation is through our variable Excel sheet. And this is what 10 years each event we used to get like 5x to 6x kind of registrations, and then we used to have a Excel sheet. Then we used to evaluate based on because we used to have some screening question like why were they interested in the team, what are the OSS contribution, uh, anything of the technical blogs and all that. That was the whole came in the calculus of like assigning a score and see if they could like be confirmed for the registration. If you look at this is a very tedious process, right? It used to take like almost 96 man hours to do this, like 4 to 5 days just to go through each other registration, evaluate them, give them the due consideration that they deserve, and then collate them, curate them, and make sure that we, communicate with them and get back if they are like any dropouts or that kind of stuff. So this was very cumbersome and a very error-prone kind of process. Now, who are you going to call that if you got an issue, right? You're going to call in this day and age AI. So we were always toying with the idea, okay, how do we do it? But it's quite daunting, right? I mean, because first, while those ML models and all were great up, but I think so the last year, AI has made this very, very easy. And just let me show you the next slide. Uh, I'm going to show what we have features because I'm a Microsoft MVP and my Azure AI Studio may have features that are still under NDA, so I don't want to get on all of that. But what I'm going to show is what we have done it. If you notice, or you may be aware of it, .NET has its frequent events across the day called Focus, and this was happening in June. This was the .NET Focus on AI, and this was on AI Azure Studio. As we had those Excel sheet, we had a whole lot of structured data. What stood us in good stead was that we were a little bit disciplined in making records and keeping these Excel sheets. And we just fed that Excel sheet to Azure Studio. And if you could see this, this is one of the tweets from our attendees. And this is how we are showing him, okay, this is how AI Studio, like just the uploads your Excel sheets with all this, and you just put a prompt. Hey, who are the top best attendees based on their screening questions as well as their um, GitHub contributions, as well as their any blogs or Twitter posts, technical Twitter posts, and all. And it came up, and it was pretty good. It almost matched us, and that there were only a few that I could say that were up and down, but pretty much it's like solved 90% of our cases, and that was a big win, right? From 4 to 5 working days to just hey, within like 10-15 minutes you get this answer was really a godsend for us. There's another part which is attendee took up this photo was we could also now converse with the in the local lingo. And if you are like coming from a non-English speaking kind of population where it is, this is really a game changer, right? It helps you make sure it's accessible. They also get to know, okay, why they're part of it, why some folks who couldn't make it through that. And if they can improve and work on that, that's also a great thing. Next up, this is the talk basically going I said the great thing, right? Now we had click to close service. Now hopefully you could see my first thing. Yeah, this is the first thing we wanted to do, right? We wanted to develop event cards to so okay, what are the future events happening, and we just gave it up in our so shoes. If you have it, yeah. This photo one. This was created before. Close, I think so. This should be closed. New create new event. And that's it, event cards for this. The other thing, we just wrote this, we kind of put it up. We had open in a workspace and everything was just created for you. I've taken screenshot of that because, every time you invoke, there'll be slight changes, but on a whole, it gets the work done for you in a JP. So this is what we had in the closed workspace, right? We had it coming comes, it created a kind of brainstorm. Okay, what we need, what it found, did a recce basically of the repo, did a scan of it, what was available as a feature, what was not. Next up, it also proposed a solution for us. Now, there was something missing in the first stuff, okay? There was no event card mentioned, even though if you see, the important thing was to have each event card have that. So yeah, the first iteration, that was not there. It completely missed about it. But then we can, with the Copilot Workspace, is always a continuous dialogue with it. So you have to go and give us, subsequent prompt to refine and to make sure that it's outputting the solution that you're looking out for, right? So this is what the next time it came. Yeah, now it created those event cards. You can see them all done very good in this aspect, and it created up. So the final proposition still had some two stuff that were missing, right? It missed to add a reference of the minimal API back to the this, and secondly, it kind of did a bit of circular kind of dependency. It had the front end have a dependency uh, on the Aspire app model, right? I mean, which is not app host model, which is like not what you want. That the app host model knows about the different underlying projects of the ecosystem, but these folks don't know about it, right? That's how it works because it's a logical grouping of that happening. So yeah, so that was one of the stuff we did. Now the other stuff is that if you see most of the demos that are happening in code, they show you to have create a pull request. My experience is that I would suggest do a draft pull request because anything that involves UX, I think you have to go back and check it because there have been a few lacunae that were coming in that. One important thing was we are building with Daisy UI, but most of the solution was always like kind of proposing bootstrap kind of styling with that. So yeah, you'll have to go back, check out if there's, and then once you bring on a look desktop, You can always use Copilot AI to suggest those changes and make that, and it's pretty good to go on that. Okay, so this is one aspect of it. Now, when we're doing a create app, telling about it, another feature that we wanted to implement was create a new event, right? So it came up with this branch. We switched it, show the errors. A certain aspect of it, if you, they always say, right, this is AI, please watch out for it. And this is quite true, because you know what? Sometimes a very sneaky kind of thing comes into it, which you may not aware. It looks very good and smile, right? But I was getting this for object reference not set to an instance of an object. And this took me like an hour or so to find out, because everything on the out look, if you look, it looks pretty good, right? It's clear out. You also give it to uh, GitHub Copilot, and it also is like gives you a really general answer without really pinpointing what's happening here, because it's a very small innocuous. If you look at it, and if you're aware with Blazor, what's happening here is that I'm creating a new event. I mean, this was the Cloudflare's Workspace kind of generated code, and this is very easy to miss, right? Actually, this shouldn't be, because we are already creating up out here. We're declaring, we're getting this populated from the form data. We shouldn't be creating a new one, and that's why it was rightfully saying, "Hey, there's no object reference for that." But these kind of small things can. So while you look at Copilot Workspace to save over, these kind of small sneaky things can like uh, negate that. So just be aware of it while doing it. So you should have like an eagle eye to see, okay, everything is good, everything is kosher, for you to go forward with it. Yeah. So I also gave like Microsoft Copilot and all to find out, and it came with the model. Even though we're having the edit contest in Blazor, so if you know what is it, there are two forms of, like, the model implementation in Blazor for forms or edit forms. It can be the model itself, or you have an edit context. We're going edit context because our validation is a little bit more complex, right? Uh, Another suggestion I would go is, if you're doing with Aspire and Optos, I would suggest first go with the Blazor on browser, because you're going to iterate quite frequently. And just to have that come from the Aspire dashboard and open up, that's a bit of friction, right? I mean, you are having a 2-3 additional step to do that. So my advice is, initially, if you're doing this development, especially on Blazor or any front end, basically, just make sure you're launching the browser directly while you're doing, and then when you wire them up, then okay, you can say, okay, when you're trying to connect with the backend services or the other Aspire service integrations, then wire them up together, and they all work very seamlessly well. Yeah, so the results in error, we are looking out here some validations. The edit context, right? What I mentioned about it. So some of the title fields not getting required out here. Then we're attaching the CSS to the edit context and getting through. So this is one aspect that you have to know about UX. It mostly a bootstrap. It doesn't know about other. The question is, okay, could I have started with the Blazor Fluent wallet? Yeah, but the other thing, we are an OSS community, and we like contribution others. So we kind of polled our community, and that felt more complex Daisy UI. And I think so that we're looking more at the ease of newbies, how they can pick this up and make it more their own and contribute, because we want them to have ownership of the community app, right? And that's a good way to look at, okay, this technology, like, is just not just complex and safe, but it's also easy to pick up. And these are the things that we'll try to give feedbacks to the .NET product team. Now, one other aspect that I want to put is this: when you're adding this feature, this brings a really good aspect. Now, folks think Aspire is like purely .NET. It's not. Here we are, because out here we had to upload our event cover pick, and our event cover pick we're uploading to a public Cloudinary, because I think so it's specialized for that, and we can utilize all the best thing that is there for it. So this is what we gave up to the issue, and we got from here, right? It gave us the cloud workspace, gave all this stuff. We gave the solution, and we also mentioned. Now here's the thing: the Cloud Mini .NET ASIC, at least we couldn't find out. At least I couldn't find out that had the um, upload signing. This is similar to SAS and Azure block storage, and also you need to append a signature to the upload, so you know it's you, like, kind of validates it. So the .NET SDK didn't have, but obviously the JavaScript SDK had it, the Node.js SDK. So we started, instead of like reworking that thing and doing our own and breaking out, let's use the existing node application there, and that's what we did out here. We put it out, gave it, and this time I was pretty pleasant surprised. Right, it had a really good stuff. But one aspect that we do want to point out is that well, yeah, Node.js makes really good sense to be using in VS Code rather than Visual Studio. It's there are a lot more features and just made for that, right? I mean, for the JavaScript ecosystem. So yeah, the one thing is that you have to context this from Visual Studio to now VS Code for us. Now, if you look at it, it looks pretty good. It actually first uh, gave us the sorry, it first gave us the CGS format, okay, which is actually what is actually a sample within the Cloudinary SDK. Obviously, we don't want because we want to build a more modern Node.js, so we want to build the AS modules. So this is what, and this is where the GitHub Copilot in VS Code just gave that thing, and it did the requisite stuff, right? I mean, it get us everything done for it. That was one of the important thing. The second part, which I wanted to show you, is that how we're actually doing it. I'm going to open up the code out here. All right, I'm not going to show the full stuff. It's just a snippet of that code we want to do. The GitHub. The GitHub. Let's start. So that we the GitHub. The GitHub. Even though you have your Node.js, you have to add a few more things to make it part of the Aspire ecosystem. So if you look at the crowd, we have done this, but there's a size stuff also. There's whole lot of open telemetry, right? I mean, it needs to spit out those metrics, the traces, and all that thing to they can see in a dashboard and all that thing. So there's another aspect where it's not just simple. Okay, just get your app.js and work it. You need to provide an extra thing for it to make sure that it's also a first-class citizen of the Aspire ecosystem. Okay, let that start. The GitHub, the GitHub, the GitHub. A few things about getting it. Cloud names, the Aspire, and this is the signature. This signature has is in the cloud any SDK. So this is not that, but this is the core part of it, right? The core functionality. But and all the rest is this. A few things, a lot of few changes that have come in the last just a few days preceding .NET Conf. Game Edwards and working really hard to make sure that we have this. So we didn't have the HTTPS working protocol right before. So that was the big thing of using it. And this thing has come about. So the last few days, even that aspect of having a secure kind of local development also, that's all done. So all the win for us as developers out here. So let me see if we got that started. Sorry. Okay. The GitHub, the GitHub, the GitHub, the GitHub, the GitHub, the GitHub, the GitHub. Okay, this is the GitHub, the GitHub, kind of the GitHub, the GitHub. Sample page we're working on. I think so. StreamYard and this streaming is taking a bit. Otherwise, this used to open quite fast. So, wait. Sorry about that. So we're looking at it from this perspective. Once you click this, take some time. Let's see. It's taking a bit. Let it come up and come to us. So in the meantime, let me go forward and not take your time. So the clone app is that we are giving it the suggestions, putting up here. And what I do wanted to point out, even though it's cloud workspace was given to this, it kind of suggested when it first spitted out the thing was that it wasn't the GitHub, the GitHub, the GitHub .NET project, right? Even though we have given that, okay, we're creating the let me open up just to make sure what we're doing here is okay. Continue. Is up. Okay. So even though we had searches for that, GitHub, the cards for it. Yep. The GitHub. Yeah. the first initial make of the program and the app posted, it actually thought this was a .NET project, even though we were explicitly mentioned that. So those changes have been changed up, and we had to know. We used to use the there's an integration with Node app, so we had to add the Node npm app to get this done. Get program. Mhm. Yeah. So out here we had the Cloudinary signing app. We got it up. So here is a crucial thing. Now we are adding the NP app. We give the name of it, the signing, and we have to give the location, the path to the app to it. And this way, then we're adding the Cloudinary environments for it to what to happen out here. The second part, which I wanted to point out here was in the Blazor front end, right? How we are validating this. So we are going back and getting it in the right. We're giving here, and this is also one of the strong points about Aspire, right? I mean, the service discovery. I'm not giving it hard coding. I'm just giving the name that which we have provided in the uh, Aspire app host, this common name. So this is cloud engineering. Even for the minimal API that we have out there is the event API that we gave the name for it. And that's how we are like communicating or that we are having the front end communicate, right? And this is also great in terms of it. This kind of nomenclature for the protocol is that hey, if you have HTTPS, please go with HTTPS. If there's no HTTPS, then you can gracefully downgrade to HTTP, right? So this is like one of the great wins for Aspire, right? You don't have to hard code this. If you've done any of these microservice kind of before and there was no service discovery, you had to hard code it. And if there was any change or anything, you still had to go and make those changes. So these are all really great wins for uh, the app. Now, one last aspect which I do wanted to show work out was .NET. As we mentioned, we are like we want to make sure that we are having a proper this. So we want to make sure that our event registration profile are like open, diverse, inclusive, right? So this is what we had out here. I gave out to different kind of AI flows, right? I mean, what should we look out for when we're building this? And this is quite interesting, right? This is what I gave to Copilot first. We got all this. I also tried Gemini and it, and these were the things that came. It's slightly better than the Microsoft Copilot at this point, but the and the different drafts. So these are the things to incorporate. But the real great one was this. This is done on the over on Azure OpenAI, and it kind of really gave a great kind of collection what we need to go and develop, right? Look at this, the options and all. So this was much better than the 3.5 kind of uploads that we're getting. So yeah, I think so as a developer, I think so AI can make your job much easier if you know what to ask for it. I mean, and kind of get into a dialogue with them and try to chisel out the solution that you're looking out for. Right. And this is what we are doing. I just want to give you a show upload of what we are doing out here. Event registration, how is actually happening. So open this in Workspace. It does a bit of brainstorming, gets to this. Right. Good. Looks good for me, I mean, from outset. Get the demographic fees and all that. And this is it. So it will upgrade the things for you. If you look at it, I'm just setting a timer. This is at 12:27 our local time. So within a minute, I presume we should actually get a whole outline of the code outputted out, right? What are the changes need to happen? So if you look at it, it's quite exhaustive. I mean, I literally just copy paste from there, took out the thing, just added a few things, what I wanted at where the eraser pages, the minimal quite exhaustive in getting this done. So this is the part. And here we are. It's not even less than a minute, and I've got the code up for me. So I think so that's a great win, right? I mean, a whole just think about coding all this. This is all done for you. Obviously, you have to go and check it out. And if you see, once again, as I mentioned, it's giving MB3, which is bootstrap. So it's still, I need to like get it down. As I mentioned, don't do a create pull request. Best to do a draft pull request, fetch it down to your local workstation, see how the app is working. Because yeah, I'll see you why is also another aspect. Because if you see this footer was also done by the Cloud Workspace. But if you notice, there are few issues with that. These two things are not. So definitely, if you're doing anything that's UI related on the Cloud Workspace, please make sure you validate it on your local worksheet, and only then kind of commit them and send up a PR. Obviously, if you're like, there's also GitHub Copilot for PR, so even that can be automated for you. But the UX aspect, it does require human touch because the aesthetics involved with that, and that can only be done uh, with a from a human perspective. Uh, so just the last aspect which I wanted to pick out here was, yeah, we've done this. Call out to space aspire, as I mentioned out here. We have one thing that I do want to make sure is that um, we use all this technology we're doing up. So up now we have mm, yeah, we have the .NET Conf watch party recap that's happening on Jan 2025. You get to all this implemented. And basically, we're going to use like sip our own champagne. We're going to use this kind of app in terms of that. So all the good things are learning. One aspect which I definitely need to change is from Steve Standard's talk, which I saw earlier for yesterday. Hey, now we don't really require to use semantic kernel. It's we can go for the Microsoft AI.extraction. So that kind of makes sure it's more easier to pick up for newbies to when they want to code this. So that's really a great win. So that's the first order of business for me next week to get these changes up. Uh, hopefully, Copilot Workspace will make things all very easy for me. Another aspect, I mean, it's all easy out here too. Like, I mean, if you show out GitHub Copilot, right? If I say and do chat, right? I can ask like GitHub open chat and at the rate Azure. Uh, what's the last container apps? Because yeah, that's how we're using, right? We're deploying is using just do AZD app, and this goes up and shows what's the last container apps deployed. Hopefully we can get all these answers. Like it works up generating. Yeah, later. Thank you. This is aspects of it, so it can help. No, I need to sign. Okay, I think so. There was an update that happens, which usually happens just before demo time. So that's an aspect we need to look at too. So yeah, in the end, what I wanted to point out was, since I'm on time, is take a look. These are set all the things which I mentioned. These are now in our OneNote, but expect them to be on our on mine and the community Twitter. How we are going about the TLDR version. The long version, obviously, go to our blog site. We'll give a very detailed kind of thing what we have done, what our learnings are getting, and everything's up there. And if you're looking to attend our meetup, this whole thing, how we have implemented and get it all, experience the full polished app, meet us on 11 January 2025 at the Book My Show office. So they're one of the largest .NET users in Bombay, right? I mean, and they're one of the largest kind of movie ticket live events and all that thing. So it's really cool to do that thing up there. And please do come for it. Last on the list, you can run a community on technology, but the secret ingredient is love. You got to love your community. You got to love the technology. Love meeting new people. Love to see code. Love to have new learnings. Get some knowledge. That's what makes the community great. Okay, Justin, that's me. Thank you.